Everyone has your slates and your markers. We're going to play a game. This is opening our next unit, and it's going to be a fun unit that we're going to be doing and learning some stuff. You got your slates numbered 1 to 10. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you a question or give you a fact, and what I would like for you to do is, if you think you know the answer, write it down. This is at 0, so we are not sharing any information, yelling out any answers. At this point, it's strictly a silent activity, okay? So I don't want nobody giving away any answers. If you think you know it, this is the game that we're going to play. And the question is asking, where in the world is this? Okay? So you guys ready? Yes. First fact. This feature has more than 11,000 miles of coastline. The distance is almost half the Earth's circumference. You think you know it? Write it down. And I'm only giving you like a few seconds because we need to move on. You think you know what it is? Okay, fact number 2. This feature contains 35,000 islands. What do you think it might be? If you don't know, that's okay. I mean, this is a game. Just want to see them. Anybody? Okay. Is everybody? I see some. Got it written down. Fact 3. This feature is young. It took its present form just 3,000 years ago. Okay. Next fact. Fact number 4. This feature is 1,200 miles across at its widest point. Fact number 5. At its deepest point, this feature is 1,333 feet deep. Okay, fact 6. This feature is the size of Scandinavia, which is Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark. Think you know it? Think you know it? Fact number 7. 1 in every 4 Canadians and 1 of every 10 Americans live near this feature. Okay, fact number 8. 1 U.S. state near this feature has more lighthouses than any other state. Ooh. Ooh, I heard this. Ooh. Shh. Don't want any answers just yet. Okay, fact 9. This feature holds nearly 20% of the world's fresh water and 90% of the fresh water in the entire United States, totaling 6 quadrillion gallons, the amount of water that could cover the entire United States at the depth of nearly 10 feet. What do you think it is? Where do you think you're at? Not yet. Got one more fact left. Okay, the last fact, fact number 10. The cities of Green Bay, Milwaukee, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Buffalo, Hamilton, Toronto all sit along this feature's shores. Where do you think you're at? Where do you think you're at? Where do you think you're at? Okay. Do I have some people that want to share? Where do you think all these facts stem back to the same region? What do you think this region is? And it's leading up to what are we going to be talking about this chapter? Elizabeth? The Great Lakes region, correct. So I was starting to give away some hints there at the beginning, but I was like, it would spoil the game. The game is where are you at, and that's where we're going to be at for chapter 4, is the Great Lakes region. So go ahead and clear off your boards. And Raven's going to quickly pick those up for you. And as we do that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do particular chapter, our learning target is going to be about us learning about the Great Lakes. It says, I can examine the environmental changes facing global freshwater ecosystems and the impending crisis in freshwater systems. And we're going to see with the Great Lake region some of the things that are harming the environment, some of the things that are actually being that's drawing visitors. What are some positive and what are some pros and cons of living in the Great Lake regions? So what I'm going to ask you to do with this preview, it's got some questions, and then we're going to come back and do a discussion and kind of set you up more so for this opening chapter. So this preview, I'm going to ask you guys, with this preview, you already know who your partner is, so I want you to go ahead with your partner. You're going to have approximately 10 minutes. I will later.
Dang it. I have to find a pencil.
Since your partner's not here today, why don't you just go ahead and work with, you can choose whichever side you want to work with. Go ahead and put that one down. Just put it in her folder. All right, with this activity, there are some questions you and your partner is going to answer. So that means you're going to turn around with your partner. So if you want to move your desk around, you can actually move your desk, turn your desk around, because you'll need to be talking with your partner. You know who your partner is already. Go through and answer these 5 questions based on the map that you see at the bottom. Remember some of our map skills that we learned in the first unit? So hopefully you can remember some of those map skills that we've learned. So take the next 10 minutes. I'll set the timer on my phone, and we'll come back and we'll discuss this as a whole. You can turn around with your partner. Okay. Probably your desk. Oh, your desk. You can turn your desk around and work with your partner on.
What is the largest Great Lakes? Yeah, it's Lake Union, Lake Mission, Lake Huron, Lake Erie, or Lake Ontario. Write that down, right? What is the smallest one? No. Which one is the smallest?
The map down here will be the smallest one. You can talk with your partner.
Which is the smallest?
And then the next one's going to ask you what is your smallest first. That's your largest. And your smallest is going to ask how many estates.
Yeah, that's gonna be. Split them up.
You're supposed to be turned around.
2 Canadian
The first one is asking what is the largest of the Great Lakes? What's the smallest of the Great
And there are
Make sure you write those down.
Oh yeah, it's a little complicated.
Tomorrow there are 9. I like the way you numbered them.
Yeah, that kind of helps me track.
Does help you.
Yeah. I gotta know this one more. Okay. Now Florida. The other one I actually counted this
Start the back and then finish this first. Distance. Make sure you measure but don't do the other side yet, because we'll do that one the second half. They're right here. The rulers are right here. Have about 5 minutes left.
No one
So what number do you come up with? Number these days, because you might be counting something twice. And on that last question, you might need to get up and get a ruler if you remember what the scale is on the map. Somebody in your group might need to go get a ruler.
I don't need a ruler, right? Then you got my fingers.
You used your fingers? Good job, then.
Go ahead. You got it in the state. Back. Into the shell. That was my year leader. Oh, I use a ruler.
You're going to use a ruler?
Yes, it is. Oh my God. Need a ruler.
It would be 600.
How we doing, guys?
We're measuring 700. This here is 30. And this is 1. This is 3. And this is
Like the way you're critically thinking.
You just check your
Okay, you have about 30 seconds. No, we're not doing the back sheet yet. Yeah, there is a back.
So 600 is about 750.
All right, let's come back to class and let's see what you guys came up with for this Great Lake region. First question. What did the first question ask? Morgan.
Which is the largest of the lakes?
And what did you and your partner come up with?
Nope, we're done.
Lake Superior. Does everybody agree with her? Lake Superior.
Yeah.
That is correct. Okay, what about number 2? What was the second question? Let's come over here this side. Alexis.
Which is the smallest of the Great Lakes? I said Lake Ontario.
That is correct. Good job. What about the third question? Maddie.
2 Canadian provinces and 8 U.S. states.
Okay, giving us a total of,
10.
excuse me. Faith.
No, it.
Okay, I'm sorry for the interruption. Let's see, we had 8 states, and how many provinces did you say? 2 provinces?
No. 1.
1 province, yes. So that gives us a total of 9. Okay, what about the next question? Abdullah.
One country controls more of the Great Lakes than the U.S. or Canada.
Okay, the U.S., yes. The U.S. controls more, so why, can I ask Abdullah, from the map, how did you and your partner or your group come up with that answer? was that again? Okay, so you were using your map. Okay. Who else? How else can you explain to me? Somebody give me Isaiah.
Most of the lakes are across the U.S. border.
Okay, most of the lakes are across the U.S. border. Awesome. Tommy?
Because 8 states border the lakes, and only one province borders the lakes.
Awesome. 8 of the states versus 1 of the provinces. But what about the province? Could the province have more land mass? Could it? Does it? You think so? So you think Canada controls more?
But now that you've gotten into which one has more land mass, it might because Ontario has like all of those states combined. That's a huge one.
Awesome. So she came up with a nice observation there by looking at the map. But the United States does control more because, I like what Isaiah said, because more of the Great Lakes are in the United States. They border Canada, but most of them come into the United States. Okay, the next question. Raina.
What is the approximate distance from the southern end of St. Lawrence River to the
Okay, 800. Okay, 800. 800 what? Would it be miles, kilometers, inches, miles? 800 miles. Did someone come up with something different? What did you come up with, Donovan?
700 miles.
700 miles. Ben, what did you come up with?
900 miles.
900 miles. Okay, we got a variety of different answers here. How many of you ended up with 800 miles? Raise your hand. You came up with 800 miles. All right. Well, the correct answer is 800 miles. Because if you actually did the measuring and you did it with the inches, the scale actually was 200 miles per inch. And then if you actually measured from Duluth, Minnesota to the St. Lawrence River, it was 4 inches. So 4 times 200 is going to give you 800. Okay, flip your paper over. We're not going to take as long for this side, but we're also going to look at the Great Lakes, and this here is going to show us the depth of these lakes. So I want, again, you and your partner to look at the map and answer the 4 questions that are there. I'm only going to give you 7 minutes for this one, okay? So I'm going to set the timer. You'll have 7 minutes. That's okay. That's what it's not. You doing okay?
With Charles and some smaller state and some much wider than any of the others.
Okay.
The these are showing our depths. It shows how deep it is. So you see, the stream goes all the way down to over 1,000 feet. The lake is showing. It just shows So why do you and your partner think that? I want to talk about it. Guys, don't forget.
We have about 3 minutes left. Yes.
Now we're asking you guys to look at Lake Superior, all the way over here. Ask them, why does the water flow through here? All the way over. Picture, why did you just leave it there? Why to there? Partner, talk about it. Why would you think that? It's bigger than the Walk River. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Do you guys come up with a reason why you think Lake Superior all the way over here is y'all figured it out yet? Then move on to the next question. Which lake do you think is going to be polluted more quickly? I think you need to choose out of here because it's based on the health of the lake, the depth, and different things. You guys got to come up with that. Why do you think that would? Write that down. Very good answer. Good observation there. And I like it that you was able to bring Detroit in. It wasn't even there on the map. I like that. Okay, so you guys are not sure about this question. Okay. We'll be talking about it in just a minute.
Got about 30 seconds left. All right, let's go over these questions quickly before we move on. Looking at this one, somebody read the first question for me. See, Isaiah.
Which Great Lake is the deepest?
Which one did you come up with based on the elevation?
I decided Lake Superior.
Okay, did everybody decide Lake Superior?
Yes.
Okay, that is correct. What about number 2? I know he comes back and asks us the opposite question. Maria, what did you and your partner come up with? Lake Erie, that is correct. Lake Erie is the shallowest. Okay, the next question. I think this question, a couple of you, some of your teens struggled with this one. So let's talk about it a little bit. So what's the question? Somebody give me the question there. Ben, read the question.
Why does water flow from Lake Superior into the St. Lawrence River up to the Atlantic?
Okay, what did your team come up with on that
Well,
one?
he came with that, like, the water goes over the rocks at certain instances, causing more water flowing to other lakes, like causing a lot of water flow going over the second rocks into the St. Lawrence River into the Atlantic.
Okay. Isaiah?
We said it's because of the land elevation getting lower as it goes.
Okay. Yes, that is correct. The elevation, but if you look at that map, if you notice, the elevation drops as you go across that map. So what is that elevation going to do? It's going to cause the flow of the water to end up flowing in that direction, which leads us to the St. Lawrence River and then out into the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, what about the last question? Devlin?
Most banking and people come through most quickly. I don't think they go in there because it was low and it was by the tree. So definitely it would be more here by people with trash and
Okay, good job. The answer to that is Lake Erie because of the elevation and the depth of it. And I really like how he added some prior knowledge to that. He actually said, because Detroit sits along that lake, and because Detroit sits along that lake, what does that mean? The population. And we talked about population density in the last chapter. About population density, we got more people moving into that area, living in that area, which in result causes more pollution, more environmental issues. It could, and not only that, but it also can draw people, visitors, and businesses to that area too, to service those people. Okay, well, we're finished with this, and I will come around and I will stamp your paper, which shows me that you completed this and you participated in this activity. The next thing we're going to do when we get back from specials is you will actually look at the vocabulary on the board. We've got a couple words on the board, and you know my routine with the vocabulary. You do word, definition, and then picture. And that picture shows me that you understand what the word and the definition mean. So just remember word, definition, and pick. Are there any questions before we move on? Maddie?
Is the vocabulary going into science? Because some of that will end up in math.
Awesome question. Yes, if you notice social studies and science in some of our units, it does overlap. And because we are going to be talking with the Great Lake region, we're going to be talking about recycling, we're going to be talking about pollution, how we can prevent pollution, how we can clean up pollution. And that kind of falls under kind of like a science unit also. So our words is like ecosystem, food chain, food web, freshwater, watershed, point source pollution, and non-point source pollution. So all of that does kind of relate to science, and that's showing how our curriculums actually cross over into other areas. And I really like that observation.
We learned about point source and non-point source pollution last year with SP1.
Awesome. So that means that your prior knowledge is going to come into this, and we probably won't have to spend a lot of time on the vocab, and we'll be able to focus on some of the issues that the Great Lakes are actually going to be experiencing or have experienced, and have they cleaned it up. Okay? Please. Awesome. Well, we've got to cut it here because we got to line up for specials.